Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live right here on Giants.com and the Giants mobile app. I'm John Schmeelk. The man on his phone is Howard Cross, trying to figure something out. 201-939-4513. At the end of the show, for the final 10 minutes or so, we're going to have Jayson Swain on, or I talked to Jayson Swain from the Tennessee Volunteers, also from Howard's hometown of Huntsville, Alabama.
Oh, nice.
So he said, when I asked him about you, he said, yeah, I learned from my elders, and I did not go to the University of Alabama. I went to the far superior University of Tennessee instead.
Yeah, what was it, one in like 16 years or something like that? That's superior. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, rocking the Notre Dame hat today, huh?
I am repping the little man today.
Bring that back next week. We're doing Notre Dame prospects next Tuesday. I just set it up today, so make sure you have the Notre Dame hat out next week.
I'll have it on.
So we'll have time to take your calls today, folks, at 201-939-4513. That's the only prospect guest we're going to have. Again, it's Tennessee prospects, and that's coming your way at around 1:20. But to start the show, Howard and I have been kind of teasing this for a couple of weeks now. We're going to go through the recent history of the 25th pick in the NFL draft. I don't know where I got 100 from. And so basically what I've done, Howard, for the last 5 years, I've taken picks 22 to 32. I figure that's a good window, right? The couple picks before, rest of the first round after, just to kind of see the types of players that are going in that area. So are you ready to listen to the players that went?
I am totally ready.
All right. Here we go. And again, get on the lines. Oh, you got people ringing in already. Good stuff. All right, here we go. Last year, do you want me to work forward or backwards?
Whichever way you think is easiest for you.
No, I can do it either way. You tell me. Do you want to start at 2022 or start at 2018?
Let's go 2018.
Okay, we'll start at 2018. All right, and this is starting at pick 22 again. Rashaan Evans, Isaiah Wynn, DJ Moore. Wynn and Moore turned out to be pretty good players, obviously. The 25th pick that year was tight end Hayden Hurst. Calvin Ridley at 26.
Okay.
Rashad Penny at 27.
Okay.
Safety Terrell Edmonds at 28. Taven Bryan, the defensive tackle, at 29. Mike Hughes, the cornerback, at 30. Running back Sony Michel at 31. And then Lamar Jackson with the 32nd pick in the 2018 NFL Draft.
Okay.
2019, pick 22. Eagles took Andre Dillard. Texans took Titus Howard. Josh Jacobs, running back to the Raiders.
Roll Tide.
Marquise Brown, wide receiver to the Baltimore Ravens. That was the 25th pick that year. Marquise Brown, wide receiver.
Ouch.
26th pick, Montez Sweat, edge to Washington. He dropped because of the medical thing. Much better player than that.
Yep.
Jonathan Abrams, safety, Mississippi State, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
27th pick to the Raiders. Jerry Tillery, defensive lineman. L.J. Collier, defensive lineman. DeAndre Baker, cornerback. Those three picks you like to take out and just chuck. Caleb McGarry, offensive tackle to the Falcons.
Okay.
And then N'Keal Harry, wide receiver to the New England Patriots. So the last five were not a lot of hits there, end of that round.
No. Okay.
2020, the 22nd pick, Justin Jefferson, wide receiver, Minnesota Vikings. He's pretty good.
22nd.
Kenneth Murray, who lost his starting job this year, linebacker.
Yep.
Cesar Ruiz, I believe he's with the New Orleans Saints, center.
Yep.
A good player.
Very
Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers. He was the 25th pick. Brandon Ayuk at 25.
Nice.
Jordan Love, quarterback to the Green Bay Packers. Okay. Linebackers, back-to-back. Jordan Brooks to the Seahawks. Patrick Queen to the Ravens. Then Isaiah Wilson went to the Titans, I believe. Titans, I believe.
It was Titans.
He did not last there very long. Noah Igbignanane, cornerback.
Congratulations. That was good. Good job. Good try.
Not job. Jeff Gladney, cornerback, and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So I would consider that, except for the two wide receivers and Ruiz, that's a rough last 10 picks of the 2020 NFL Draft.
That one's stressful.
Yeah. 2021.
Last year.
No, that's 2 years ago.
2 years ago. I forget.
It's 2023, Howard.
It's tough. Time's flying.
2021, 22nd overall pick, Caleb Farley, cornerback. He had back injuries that pushed him down. He has not met that mark yet. Christian Darrisaw, who's been excellent for the Minnesota Vikings, offensive tackle. Najee Harris, running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers, nice little pick.
Roll Tide.
Travis Etienne, running back to the Jaguars, nice little pick.
Nice pick.
Greg Newsome, cornerback. He's been a good player.
Yes, he has.
Rashad Bateman, when he's been healthy, he's been good, but he's been rarely healthy.
Beat up.
Peyton Turner, defensive lineman to the
25?
Saints. 25. I'm sorry. That was Travis Etienne to the Jaguars.
Yeah, very good.
Travis Etienne to the Jaguars. Thank you. Peyton Turner, 28 to the Saints. Eric Stokes, cornerback. I believe that's the Packers at 29.
Yep.
Gregory Rousseau, defensive lineman to the Bills at 30.
Okay.
Odafe wants Jayson Oweh, the edge player from Penn State, to the Ravens at 31.
Okay.
And then Joe Tryon Shianka to the Bucks.
Okay. Don't know him. Okay.
No, he is not. He's one of those guys that was very tradey, but never hit, and he still is very tradey and has not hit.
Okay.
2022, final year. This is last year's draft. 22nd overall pick, Quay Walker. He's the guy that chased down Saquon from behind for the Packers this year, and you're like, holy crap, how fast is that dude? Kyer Elam, cornerback, he went 23rd.
Okay.
Tyler Smith, offensive tackle to the Cowboys. That turned out to be a pretty good pick.
Very
he played
good,
well for
Smith.
them this year.
Very good.
25th pick was Tyler Linderbaum, the center to the Baltimore Ravens.
Another
He had a
good
nice
pick.
little year.
Yep.
Jermaine Johnson to the Jets at 26, the pass rusher.
Okay.
Devin Lloyd,
pick.
linebacker to the Jaguars at 27.
Okay.
Devontae Wyatt, defensive tackle. I believe that was the Packers at 28.
Good play.
Patriots took Cole Strange, the lineman, at 29, offensive lineman. A lot of people consider that a reach. Sorry, Pearson. George Karlaftis, the defensive end, went to the Kansas City Chiefs at 30.
Okay.
Karlaftis. Daxton Hill, the safety, went to the Cincinnati Bengals at 31.
Okay.
And then Lewis Seen, the safety, went to the Bills? No. Who?
I don't think he went to the Bills.
Where'd Lewis Seen go? Wait, who won the Super Bowl in 2022?
Patriots.
No.
I mean the Patriots. Buccaneers. No, the year before.
Yeah, Buccaneers.
Yeah.
The Rams traded the pick.
The Rams, right?
The Rams wanted. You're right. Thank you, Pearson. The Rams wanted. That pick was traded to somebody in one of their
Detroit.
millions of trade. No, that might.
It's either Detroit or Buffalo. It had to be Detroit.
It was either
because he was there when he won the Super Bowl.
Where was Jalen Ramsey?
Jacksonville?
I think that might have been Jacksonville then.
Okay.
I think that was one of the Ramsey picks. I think I'd have to double check. I'm curious.
So this is what I'm getting from that. Like,
Yes.
Some drafts are better than others, meaning that in the back of the draft, if it's a highly rated draft, you get a lot of better players at the end of the draft.
Vikings Lewis Seen apparently that was
Oh,
it. That must have been other picks traded to get there.
Yeah. So I'm getting that a lot. I'm getting a lot of that. I'm getting a lot of the 1 year there's a really good draft, 2 years there's a good draft, and then there'll be like 2 years of like.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So like it depends on the year. So this year, I consider it a decent draft. I don't consider it a great draft, and I mean it by the aspects like you got a lot of quarterbacks going in the first few picks, and it's not that the quarterbacks are bad or good. It's just like
I agree.
I consider any year there's a lot of quarterbacks going in the first few picks. It pushes everybody else down because teams need quarterbacks.
I would consider this a below average draft.
Again, when you push all the players down, you have more opportunities to guys that you really need.
I'm not sure if that's helping you in the 20s, though. I think that's helping you in the early teens.
We'll see. I'm thinking there's gonna be a couple guys going to fall back. The kid Carter that said he wasn't going to talk to any team outside of the top 10 out of Georgia. He's going to fall back. Some other kids are going to fall back depending on medicals that they go through. Every team values their medicals differently, so it's going to be interesting. It'll be interesting if everybody values something all the same, but everybody has something different. So it's going to be interesting.
I broke this down by position very quickly. Okay, this was I just quit jotting down. I might have missed a guy or two because I did it really fast. If I did, I apologize. Running backs. Najee Harris. There were 6 of them picked in that range in those 5 years. Najee Harris,
Pro Bowl,
Travis Etienne,
Pro Bowl,
Josh Jacobs,
Pro Bowl,
Sony Michel,
Pro Bowl,
Rashad Penny, awesome, but he's always hurt. Good
hurt.
player, but awesome. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So the running back hit rate was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good running back hit rate. Offensive line, okay? We got Cole Strange, Christian Darrisaw, good. Isaiah Wilson, no good. Cesar Ruiz, okay.
It's okay.
Andre Dillard, he hasn't really hit yet. We'll see. He'll get a chance to start this year. Titus Howard, he's been okay. And Caleb McGarry and Isaiah Wynn have been okay.
Okay.
So I think you're
like
finding solid
ding,
players.
Ding, ding, ding. Yep.
You're finding solid players on the offensive line there, right?
Okay.
Cornerback. Let's see. This is linebacker. I'm sorry. Quay Walker, Devin Lloyd, Kenneth Murray, Jordan Brooks, Patrick Queen, Rashaan Evans. Danger zone.
Just average.
There's a lot of guys that did not pan out there.
Yeah, just average at best. Nobody's even playing. They're special teams guys.
I'd be very careful there. Edge players. Jayson Oweh, Justin Tryon, George Karlaftis, Montez Sweat, Jermaine Johnson.
That's a good group.
Yes.
Not the great group, but it's a good group.
And
you can get it
Sweat
done.
sways it, though, because of the injury thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want to throw L.J. Collier in there. He's more of a defensive lineman than an edge player. If you want to throw him in there, you can. But whatever.
He gets to the quarterback.
Cornerback. All right. Kyer Elam, Newsome, Stokes, Gladney, Idbignanane, DeAndre Baker, Mike Hughes. Not great.
So you got 2 guys out of that group, maybe 3.
Yeah, exactly. Not great. And then wide receivers, Rashad Bateman, Brandon Ayuk, Justin Jefferson, Calvin Ridley, Marquise Brown,
Oh, roll tide.
and
Sorry, Ridley.
N'Keal Harry.
So you got like
That's a good group.
that's you may have missed on one.
N'Keal Harry's the only miss there.
Yeah. So basically, it looks like if you're picking a linebacker that late, it's a crapshoot. If you're picking a DB that late, it's kind of average. You can get somebody, but if you
corner generally, and wherever you draft corners, it's tough to hit on them. Corners are hard.
But if you're picking a running back, you're going to win.
Yeah, and I think if you're picking a wide receiver, you're doing okay
win.
too.
Yeah. Wide receiver and running back seems like the high spot.
And O-line was okay. O-line was fine.
But that's kind of what I felt, though. That's kind of what I felt. I kind of felt like, not that the Giants were going to draft outside of their need, but if their need was this was going to be the most, historically the better picks.
Well, and think about it, right? If the Giants sit there and they take Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs, they're going to be good players.
Yeah.
The question is, does it make sense for them to make those selections, right?
If Gibbs is there or Bijan Robinson is there, the Giants are going to take them. I'm just going to tell you that. I wouldn't. I don't know how to say anything. And
no, they're really good players.
There's nothing against Saquon or anything like that.
No, look, they would be the highest graded players on the board if they're.
And they would be 5 years at a reasonable rate. Saquon would be here one more year probably and moving on. And that's nothing against Saquon. I don't want anything to happen to Saquon. I don't want Saquon to move on. It's just that if those guys are there, you got a guy on a rookie contract. Oh my goodness. You can't do nothing about it. But that's the fear of the NFL for players.
Yeah.
That they're always looking for somebody younger for less money.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
And look, offensive linemen, I think you're looking at interior guys if the Giants want to go there. You're looking at the John Michael Schmitzes. You're looking at the Joe Tippmans. I don't think you're picking a guard there given the Giants do have decent competition at that spot. So I'm just not sure this draft has the players at that spot. That you maybe Steve Avila, something like that.
I mean, for the first round, I don't know. I mean, could you get a center? Is there a center going to fall that low that's going to be that good that could play?
Well, that's the question. Is the center good enough to pick at 26, 25?
Can he play? It's just what I'm asking.
Right, yeah.
It's okay. They're but I don't know if they can do it or not. It's going to be very interesting.
It will. And then look, wide receiver. I think there's a chance only one wide receiver is gone by the time the Giants pick. I think probably 2 or 3 are gone, but I think people are worried about some of the wide receivers in this class. Like
they're worried about. So no one came out with sub 4.3 speed.
No.
That's usually reserved for DBs anyway.
This is actually a good question. Since we're doing Tennessee later, let me ask you this: How would you feel about Jalen Hyatt with the pick at 25?
Love Jalen Hyatt. Not for the 25th pick. I think that he ran wide open a lot.
I agree.
And most of the time what we say is we like to see guys that are open. But was he open because he was running 4.3 or better pass guys, or was he open because
the scheme?
More than the scheme, just like you couldn't stop them. They were scoring everywhere. Jalen Holland was a benefactor of the whole other side of the field scoring touchdowns as well. So like that, they were just the hooker was. If he hadn't have got hurt, would have won the Heisman definitely. I think that he was playing at that kind of a level, and to have a guy out there that's kind of like, hey, look, you go where you need to go. You just go. You run like so. Basically, if I'm running the post and I got a guy that's running the clear, the post is the guy we usually throw the ball to. They were throwing the ball to the clear. Like, okay, if you're not going to follow him because you're trying to sit on the post to stop the post, we're going to throw the ball deep. You're going to stop that guy first. And usually, the rule is throw 5 balls deep to get the guys to back up so you can run your offense. Okay, if they're not going to cover the guy because they're like, okay, that's just a throwaway deep guy, there's going to be a touchdown. So, and that's what they got a lot of times. And when, the other thing that helps them a lot, or helped them out a lot last year, is that Hooker was great at breaking after the play broke down, getting the ball down the field. That's the other thing that people don't really factor in when we think about how deep, how this guy called these deep passes, is that, you had to come up to cover Hooker because he could run. He could, he could beat you with his legs. So when you're coming up because he's broke the pocket, especially if you're a cornerback, I don't know why in the world you would be peeking in the backfield. I'd be looking at that guy, but guys would peek in the backfield and he would just throw it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. So that's this year, the 25th pick, and kind of what worked, what didn't. There's a couple other groups here, like interior defensive linemen. There were a few of those guys that generally did not work out. There were a couple safeties in that group, most of which did not really work out that well, to be honest with you. That's most of them, though.
You know what it is? And you were saying they didn't work out. It's like they haven't. Will they make it to their second contract?
Right, correct.
That would probably be a better thing. And what I mean by make it to their second contract, well, they could just like, hey, look, we can just, we're going to give you the least amount of money possible, or we're going to give you a contract. We want you here. So
are we going to extend you before you hit free agency?
Absolutely.
Something like that, right? No, I'm 100% with you. 201-939-4513, hashtag Giants Chat on Twitter. Hey, folks, remember, go subscribe to the Giants Huddle podcast. You will not find a better place for draft information this time of year. My most recent interview, Bruce Feldman from The Athletic and Fox Sports, that's going up. Later on in the week, we have former NFL scout Brian Broaddus. We have Charles Davis from NFL Network coming on. And we'll do more stuff like that leading up to the NFL draft, which is only about 16 days away. So make sure you stay tuned to the Giants Huddle podcast. Subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or find that on the Giants app. And, of course, check out draft season as well. That is our draft podcast. It's not Giants-centric. It's kind of draft in general, Tony, Pauline, and I. Make sure you go check that out. Draft season, subscribe to that as well. And whatever podcast you're listening to, go to Apple Podcasts if that's where you're getting them. Leave a positive review, 5 stars. Send in a screenshot if you can. We'll read it on the air, and that would really help us out getting more visibility on our stuff here.
I like it. Shameless promotions. I like shameless promotions.
I learned from you, Howard. I have no shame.
0.
I've known you long enough.
So what's going on?
Having no shame can actually get you a long way in this world. How do you think Lance Meadows gotten where he has?
Oh, my goodness.
201-939-4513. Do you want to take some calls?
He snuck under the line. How do you think he got in?
I think he's under the table.
They got the rope. He just walks right under it.
Let's go to Hugo in New Jersey. He'll lead us off. Hugo, what's up, pal?
Good afternoon, guys.
Hey.
I guess I want to chime in a little bit on this center need. And I'm in the camp that at pick 25, there's just not enough value in the center class this year. But, it's interesting. You're going to be talking to Tennessee later, or a representative from Tennessee. And there's one guy, Darnell Wright, that plays for Tennessee, who apparently is a road grader, and he's also one of the best guys at anchoring against pass rush.
He's a tackle, though.
I know, but there were questions coming into this draft about whether he had the feet to be a tackle. I think that guy could potentially be a dominant, given his traits, a dominant inside player.
If Darnell Wright is there when the Giants pick at 25, and by the way, I don't think he will be, Hugo, I think that there would be a great value pick. I think he's a pretty darn good player.
Exactly. Exactly. And my thinking on it, and I'm not even sure if this is the case. Again, I'm trying to think outside the box.
Yep.
It is, has Glowinski ever played center?
No. He
has never played center.
No, he's a guard.
He has always played guard. Okay. Because when I think about Glowinski, he's got great movement skills in the run game, but part of his issues is he lets people get on his edges in pass blocking, which is something that could be covered up in the center position as opposed to guard, where the tackles flare out in pass blocking.
Yeah, they have not mentioned in all the guys they've mentioned as potentials for the center spot. They've never mentioned Glowinski.
I know, but he was talking in a scenario where Darnell Wright doesn't fall into their laps, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there might be an adjustment. Anyhow, I was wondering, and I think Lewinsky could make a good center, and Darnell Wright can make a great right guard. But you guys will be talking to Tennessee later. Let's see what he has to say.
I mean, you always put Darnold right at left guard too if you have to.
Yeah,
And that too.
and I think that when you
That's
think about center, if a guy's having a problem at guard, if a guy's coming off his edge and you're at guard, you're protected on both sides while you're centering your tackle. I don't think he gets better at center if he's having problems right in front of him. So that's also an issue that you have to think about. And I'm not, and I'm sure the kid will get better as the year goes on, but that's a hard position to grow from. If you're a really good guard and they move you to center, you're probably going to be a really good center. If you're a guard that's struggling at something and they move you to center, then you have one less hand that you're going to be using right away. So that could be a problem.
Okay. Well, then Brett Bredesen might have to be the solution, at least for 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Very good.
All right, appreciate it.
Outside the box.
Thanks for the call, man. Good stuff.
And
All right.
you understand what I'm saying, right? Like,
Of course.
if you're having problems like getting your hands up and stopping a guy or whatever, or catching a twist at guard, you're not going to be able to do that once you got your hand down and you snap and try to get it up because it's just a little bit slower reaction. You're just going to have just as much trouble.
Yeah, I don't see Lewinsky at center.
Yeah.
201-939-4513. Let's go to David in New Jersey. He's up next. Hi, David.
Hey guys, how you doing?
What's up?
Very good.
Howard, I just want to say loved you as a player and love all the work that you're doing with the Giants.
Oh, thanks so much.
I just want to say before I get into a question that I am 100% behind Daniel Jones this season. I was a doubter. I thought he was drafted too high. But last year we saw what Gettleman saw in him with an offensive line that was professional. And we saw what he did with, let's face it, the equivalent of me, Latino, and Charlie in the wide receiver room. I mean,
funny.
so one thing I want to say about the draft is I love Shane and his whole approach. And when I look at all the free agent signings, what I see is that he has set his group up, his draft group up, to draft the best player available at every pick they have. They've signed the wide receivers. They've signed, an edge, a defensive lineman. They've signed, a go-to tight end. I mean, I love his picks. I love his approach, so that we're liable to get the best player available. And there's a draft. There's a wide receiver that I like, Schmeelk, that you had one of your guys on the huddle. And when I heard about this guy, I said, this is a guy I want. Like in the third round, the wide receiver from Oklahoma Baptist, the small college show that you did.
I don't remember the name of the player.
You know what? I'm afraid to say I don't either. But the guy who
But you love him, though, right?
No, but hear me out. The guy who specializes in the small colleges said that at the East West Shrine Bowl or something, that this guy schooled every cornerback that was on him, and during the practices and during the game.
Keelan Harris Pearson, is that what you said? Yeah, I think it's Keelan Harris.
Yeah. I looked up this guy's film and just listening to the kind of player he is. It's like that's the guy I want. I'm going to call him my Latino pick, the guy that I'm fixed on in the draft. But and just one quick last question for Howard specifically.
Okay.
I like Darius Slayton, but we all know what his problem is. Here's my question. I played football, but I was a lineman. Can drops be coached out of a coachable player?
Can drops be coached out of I think it's just more you got to keep your confidence up. It's kind of like I equate it to missing a putt that's like inside of 5 feet. You do it, it's so routine. And if it lips out or if it rolls around the rim and pops back at you, you'll start walking around the hole and looking at it longer, trying to take breaths. And is it breaking this way instead of just going up and tapping it in like you usually would do? So drops are kind of like that. If you catch the ball all the time, you're good. If you miss one, no big deal. If you miss a couple, you start Okay, I got to get more time on the jugs machine. I got to be sure that I'm doing this coming out of the route. And then people start to tell you about your craft that you've been perfecting for so long. So that's what happens to it. He's just got to stay confident, still stay inside of himself. He makes the really, really tough catches because he's super focused on the ball when that's happening, and sometimes maybe routinely coming across the middle, depending on if he can see the quarterback or not when the ball's released, he might get surprised with the ball. So those are the only reasons that would happen. But you can't make it not happen is a person's confidence. Some guys will catch, BBs in the dark. Some guys you can throw them a volleyball or a beach ball and they won't catch it.
Yeah. I was just thinking, like when Barber was, in the backfield, he had a problem with fumble, and they coached that out of him. So I was just wondering if the same thing goes with wide receivers and drops.
No, the ball's in your hands when you fumble already. Yeah. So that's a big difference. Catching the ball is different because of different angles, different, sometimes you can see the ball coming. What I mean by that is that you're running and you're running an out route and you can see the quarterback and there's nobody between you and the quarterback. You can see the ball the entire time. Sometimes you don't see the ball coming. It's when you run across the field or coming in the field on a slant and all of a sudden the ball's like coming out of hands and arms. You know it's supposed to be there, but you're like, okay, I'm open. Here it comes, and it's there at last second. And then there's the ball that you're anticipate coming when you're like running down the field, and then the ball's in the air, and you got to turn around and then try to locate it while it's up in the air. So there are a lot of different scenarios and a lot of different speeds you're moving at the same time. The difference is between when I was playing and with these guys today that after 5 yards they can't touch you. Or they're not supposed to touch you. So that makes for an easier job for the quarterback and the receiver. But, all officials don't see everything. So you never know.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for the great work on both podcasts, man. You guys have made me more obsessive a fan than I ever thought possible. And I'm a guy, John. By the way, I was in the building for both the Pizarchik fumble and the Miracle in the Meadowlands when we got smoked by the Eagles.
And by the way, you mentioned both podcasts. Don't forget draft season. Make sure you get that. Subscribe to that one too, man.
No, I will. But that podcast that you did on Huddle with the small college guy, everybody should listen to that. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was the one with Rick Saratella for the folks that want to go back and take a listen. And he's the best. I appreciate it, Dave. Thanks for the call, man.
All right, take care.
All right, just to give you an idea of the player he was talking about here while I did a little research while he was going. Mm-hmm. So Oklahoma Baptist plays, I believe let me just make sure I have the name of the school correct before I do it. Yes, they're the Bison, the Oklahoma Baptist Bison. The player's name is Keelan Harris. He's a 6-foot junior, 180 pounds. Last year, he 80 catches, 1,050 yards, 7 touchdowns, 32 kick returns, 10 punt returns. So he did all the specials for them. Now, what do you know about Oklahoma Baptist? John, not a lot. I can tell you they're in the Great American Conference. You probably know it as the GAC, or not. It is technically a Division II school. So
I wonder what he ran the 40 in.
Let me see. I have a quick Google search. Will inform me of that.
Because if he's burning everybody up, it means he's pretty fast.
Yeah, he played at the PA Bowl. So let's see if we have a 40 time on him.
Probably not. Is that 4.5? No, is that not him?
He was not there. Let's see. I don't know if I trust this website, but I'll look at it anyway. They say he's been clocked as low as 4.35, as high as 4.50. So I think he's probably closer to 4.50. He came at 5'9", 179 pounds. So he's almost 5'10", 179.
Oh, so he's not even 6 foot tall. Okay, yeah, all right.
Apparently they added a couple inches on the old Bison website.
3 inches.
2.5. Yeah, 2.5. 201-939-4513. Let's go to Jeff in Maine. He's up next. Hi, Jeff.
What's up, Jeff?
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, Jeff?
So getting really excited about the draft. It's coming up on us fast. I've noticed there seem to be a lot of really good interior offensive linemen rated between like 30 and 50. And so I'm thinking one of them might fall to us at 57. And I think we don't just – well, there's a whole bunch of them. Avila, the centers, a whole bunch of different ones, Mark. But I'm thinking we don't just need centers because our 2 starting guards projected are both in the last year of their contract, I think.
Yep.
So in the
anyway,
second round, Jeff, really quickly, just to give you my take here, in the second round, the guys I would be comfortable taking, and again, I'm not sure I would want to take any of these interior offensive linemen in the the first round, but guys I'd be more than happy to pick in the second round: Cody Mock, Steve Avila, who, by the way, I watched this. He played center in 2021. He was his full-time position. I thought he was really good. He's at TCU. He's like 330, so he's a bigger guy.
Okay.
I like him a lot. If he somehow gets to the Giants in the second round, I would run to the podium there. John Michael Schmitz, who's probably not going to get to the second round, I'd take him there. And then I would consider Luke Whippler, the center out of Ohio State, who did a pretty good job against Jalen Carter when they played in the college football playoffs.
How do you do against that kid Howard Cross?
I'd have to go back and watch. Did Ohio State play Notre Dame this year? They did early in the year, right?
First game of the season.
All right, I'll have to go and watch that, to be honest with you. I don't know how he played. I could tell you, I could see what Howard Cross's numbers were in that game. Let me see if I can check that out right now. Hold on 1 second. Let me check that out. But those are the guys I would consider. Yeah, you held my hand and pulled me into the weeds. It's your fault. All right, Jeff, go ahead. What else you got for me?
Well, yeah, and maybe Tippmann. And I'm thinking one of them is going to fall down to 57. But I've actually got a question about Quentin Johnson, because talking about our first-round pick, we need to – well, I think we need to, get someone, the best player available. And, I think you want a first-round pick who's going to be productive and who does not have a low floor because they might be a bust. And Quentin Johnson, I think he's got a high ceiling, but do you think he might also have a low floor because of his drops?
Quentin Johnson's an interesting player, Jeff. I worry about him because I do think he has a high ceiling, right? He's big, he's tall, he can run after the catch, he's made big plays, the big plays against Michigan in the college football playoffs and all that stuff. But
he does have drops?
Yeah, he's almost over 10 drops last year. One of the higher drop percentages in the draft class. He body catches a lot of stuff. He doesn't catch it with his hands.
Okay.
And he's a weird prospect because you figure, all right, taller, skinny guy, he's going to be kind of a, adjust the ball well down the field, track the ball, make those types of contested catches down the field. And he can run by people, too. He's fast enough. But he's a weird guy. He's a tall, skinny guy that's great after the catch. Usually the tall, skinny guys don't catch the ball and then, bounce off guys and make big plays after the catch.
He's skinny?
Yeah,
I kind of thought he was a little heavier.
He's 6'3", 205, something like that.
Okay, that's skinny.
He just looks skinny to me when I look at him. So, I don't know. I have trouble figuring him out. I get why you would pick him at 25. I would hesitate. I don't know if I would, but the Giants have probably a much better feel for the guy than I do.
They definitely have better feels than we do.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. And I think they do have great scouts, and I do, I think Shane does trust their scouts, and I trust Shane and stuff. Okay, now Michael Mayer, I've been intrigued with him ever since I first heard Tony Pauline talk about him on draft season, about comparing him to Mark Bavaro. And if by some miracle he does make it down to us at 27, with our coaches, 25, right? If our coaches being as creative as they are, do you think they could get good production out of them? And do you think that might even give us the best tight end, room in the league? And do you think they might even be able to come up with some 3 tight end sets? Well, I'll take my answer off the air.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Well, 2 things. Yes, they can do 3 tight end sets. They did it a lot last year, or not a lot, but they did it for a good portion of the time, and it was very effective.
And Waller tight end.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think
receiver.
If Mayer falls that low, right, and it's time for the Giants to pick, someone's going to trade to get him.
My comp for Mayer is Witten. He reminds me of Jason Witten.
I got him more like a grunt guy. Because he doesn't look like he's moving that fast. But he still gets open.
That's why I compare him to Witten. Yeah, but Witten looks like he's just moving. All of a sudden he's open.
It's like he's just like Gronk. Just like I'm watching Gronk for years. I'm trying to figure out why is he always open? And he's just kind of like.
Yeah, you watch Mayer's tape and you're like, yeah, and then you look down. Oh, he had 8 catches for 112 yards. How did he do that?
It's like wow. I was like he's not outrunning you. It's not amazing, but he's like okay. I'm bigger than you, and he's wait a minute. And when I say he's open,
and he catches everything.
Yeah, but he's open though. It's not like he will catch a contested pass, but he's literally open. And they were doubling him and tripling him all.
He was their best weapon for Notre Dame.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So look, the shame of it is I love this tight end class so much, but I don't know where they would go tight end because I thought Bellinger showed a lot last year. You don't want to bury him. You have Waller. So would you pick a guy like Mayer in the first round? I think the value's good. I think if Mayer's there at 25, he's probably one of your, if not the highest graded player left on your board. Same for the Dalton Kincaid kid who I love from Utah, but I think he's way too similar to Waller. So would I consider that? Sure. I just don't know if that's your best allocation of resources given what you already have on the roster with Waller, with Bellinger.
And in the vein of taking the best player available, if he's there, he'll be picked. If he's picked, they will run an offense which features 2 tight ends and 3 tight ends a lot, and they'll be effective. That's just how I look at it. You're not going to be able to cover two guys over 6'5" on the field, and one of them that can run about 4.5 or 4.40, and you got another guy that just gets open, and you got another kid that's he's a good intermediate route runner. So unfortunately for teams, they're going to be looking at heavier personnel. They'll be running the ball a lot at them, and they're going to be in trouble. And it's going to be a different style of offense, but it's kind of like how, and not making a comparison, Daniel has no comparison to this, so don't anybody jump on me. But it's kind of like how Kansas City lost Tyreek Hill, and they're like, Patrick Mahomes is in trouble, and he adjusted.
Yep.
So that's what it is.
All right, let's go to Anthony in New Jersey. He's up next. Go ahead, Anthony.
Hey, guys. I'd like to echo some of the things said in the other callers, too. I'm really happy with what Joe Schoen has done so far, and I think he has set up the squad with a good foundation. I think he's clever, creative, and very calculated. And I think we are in a good position to build on what we have versus having to fill major needs,
And Anthony, Anthony, I agree with you. By the way, I think Joe Schoen's awesome. He's going to do a great job. But I also want to be honest with people here. Joe Schoen's not the one that built the foundation of this franchise. He was here for 1 year and had no free agency money last year. The foundation was put in place by the regimes prior. When you're talking about Daniel, Saquon, Andrew Thomas, Dexter Lawrence, Xavier McKinney. Those are the guys that were brought in by the prior regime. And I'm not saying the prior regime did a great job because obviously look at the record, they didn't. But those young players that are really the foundation, and obviously Evan Neal and Kayvon Thibodeau are part of that. That was Joe Schoen last year, no question. But a lot of those young guys were holdovers from the previous regime.
But think of it like this, John. When people say the foundation of the team, I get those are the cornerstone kind of guys. But there were holes in the foundation, and you're able to get guys in free agency with no money.
No, 100%, 100%,
and that's what he did.
Totally agree. That's
very creative.
Yep.
I agree with both of you. Yeah, the foundation was already there, but he's built on it. There wasn't I don't think there was really a position where, including center, right, where he was like, we'll just take care of that in the draft. You know what I mean? He set himself up to have some maneuverability in this draft.
Yes, absolutely.
And that brings me on to the center debate. Unless there's a guy that is a perennial Pro Bowler in the first round at center, you don't draft a center in the first round. You don't have to. There's tons of guys down the list. You look at the league, most of the guys aren't drafted in the top rounds, much less the first round. And I would even wager, I haven't looked it up, but I would wager that a majority of the centers in the league are converted guards. Because like Howard said before, if you're good enough to play guard, you're definitely good enough to play center in most cases, right? So I bring that up because now it's that time of year where you really start to get a feel for where guys are kind of falling on the board, what teams are saying. Because before this, teams didn't even have a big board. So, looking at big boards is pointless, online because you don't really know. But now we're starting to get a little bit of information,
yep.
What the feel is, and so I listen to some mock drafts. I listened to a mock draft before with Wilson, who you had on the Huddle, which the Huddle, again, I echo that. It's a great podcast. You do a great job with that.
Thank you.
But you had Wilson, who has this podcast with Rick Spielman,
yep.
right, the ex-GM.
And I'm working on getting Rick on one of our shows. I haven't figured it out yet, but I'm working on it.
That would be awesome because he gives really good insight. But, at 25, Wilson had us taking Schmitz and you still had Nolan Smith on the board.
Oh,
you
yeah.
still had Zay Flowers on the board. I mean, so anyway, I'm trying to make this quick. I made a list, right? I got 16 guys that I think are definitely not going to be there when we pick, right? 17 guys, 2 more guys who I think are unlikely, but they're sliding in Quentin Johnston and Joey Porter Jr. And I'm with you on Quentin Johnston. Like, I don't like the drops. I think I would let somebody else take a chance on him. So now I got 7 guys that could be there. I kind of want your opinion on them. Like, would you be happy to take any of them as best player available?
Okay.
Cansey, Brian Branch, Brzee, Nolan Smith, Miles Murphy, Bijan Robinson, and Zay Flowers. And this list also I did not include any tight ends because I see them sliding too. So if a tight end gets picked before us, that's 2 guys.
Okay.
2 of these guys.
Okay, I just want to make sure I remember all the guys you threw out there, Anthony. Brian Branch, yes, I draft him. I think he's very, very good.
Roll Tide.
100% with you there. Miles Murphy, I'm not on the top 15 bandwagon like anyone else, but I think if you get to the Giants at 25, I think that's the guy you think about. But he doesn't get me super excited. I would take Brian Branch before I took Murphy, I think. Who are the other guys? Nolan Smith, I would run to the podium in a minute, and I'd put that card in, and I'd be the happiest person on the planet.
Bijan Robinson.
I mean, look, I'm so tired of the running back conversation. Bijan Robinson's awesome. He's great. I mean, he helped the offense, obviously. He's great. So, whatever, however you feel about running backs, I don't want to engage in that discussion. Who are the other guys that you had there?
Cansey, Brzee, and Flowers.
Brzee, I would probably
I'd pass.
lay low on him until the second round, and I don't think he'd get to you there, but I don't think I'd go him at 25. Zay Flowers.
Yeah, I don't think he's fallen either, but he's kind of like, it's like, I think he's going to be like the flavor of the month for a team. Like some teams will have him high, some teams are just not going to have him on their top at all.
Yeah, Zay Flowers I have in my next group of wide receivers. I have Addison and Njigba. Njigba's my number 1 guy. My second receiver is Jordan Addison. And then I kind of have a little bit of a gap. And then I have the Josh Downs, Zay Flowers, Quentin Johnson, Jalen Hyatt group, and that's more of a early second round type of group for me personally.
Yeah.
But I don't think Zay Flowers in that spot would be a bad pick. He's a good football player, but he's 5'9". Like, how many 5'9" wide receivers do you want to trot out there? I think that's a real question.
The Patriot way.
Cansey I struggle with, Anthony. I got to be honest with you, and I've gone back and forth on him a bunch. Have you watched Kalijah Cansey at all? The defensive tackle out of Pittsburgh. So. Let me give you the lowdown on him.
That's not the really fast one. That's the other one.
No, he's also very fast. He ran a 4.59 40-yard dash, Cansey, or was it a 4.69?
4.69.
Either way, 280-pound defensive tackle, 4.69. He was very fast. He set the defensive tackle record for the 40-yard dash.
Oh, then that is the fast one.
Well, Edibare technically worked out as a defensive end, so that's why he's really a defense. It's stupid the way they classified the guys.
Got it.
So he's 280.
How long is his arms? Not that long.
Super short.
They're like 30.
Super short, like 30 inches, really short. Yeah. But he's lightning fast at the snap. He's really quick. He gets on the edges of the guards really, really fast. He has pretty good hand usage, but he's just not powerful. Like, he does not win with power. He wins with hands and quickness. And if NFL guards get their hands on him,
one of those grown men that's getting a paycheck,
it's gonna be a wrap. It's gonna be a wrap if a big guard gets his hands on him. So I go back and forth on Cansey at 25. I would probably pick him, to be honest with you, because I think next to Dexter Lawrence, here's the other thing. I also like Cansey in an even man front because I like him at 3 technique. Right? If you're playing a 3-man odd man front, where is he lining up? Right? So that's the other question I have with that. But look, Cansey is going to be an immediate impact player as a pass rusher. First year though, and maybe even second year, I don't know if you can have him on the field on first downs. I don't know. I don't know if he's a good enough, strong enough to. I mean, I would if I'm an offense and I see that dude in the game on first down, I'm running the ball right at his rear end every single time.
Yeah, and we had that last year, and no offense to the guys that were out there, that if our 2 guys weren't in the game, if we put other guys in, they would immediately convert to like running the ball right up the middle at that spot because they said, okay, if Dexter's not in there and if Leo's not in there, we're going to run right there because they can't hold up.
And honestly, if you're running your odd man front on a base down situation and you have Ojulari next to Cansey,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm circling, I'm highlighting
running,
now with a big neon marker, and I'm running it right at those two guys all freaking game. I just am.
And it's on tape. Once it's on tape, it's on tape. People do follow it.
So then the other thing that I've been debating is the cornerback.
Yeah.
It's a deep class, but I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see 6 go in the first round, and that kind of scares me if you don't take one in the first round. It's like you said before, cornerbacks are hard to draft.
Yeah, they are.
And so if you don't take one in the first round, it might be slim pickings by the time you get to 57. And so, like, does that matter? Should we worry about drafting a corner? You know?
Would you be? I'm gonna throw 4 names at you. Would you be okay with any of these 4 with the second round pick? Would you be okay with Julius Brents with your second round pick?
Absolutely.
Would you?
But he might not fall.
He might not. You're right. Would you be okay with DJ Turner with your second round pick?
I actually did a mock draft today. I got Nolan Smith, DJ Turner, and then who was the last guy? Cedric Tillman.
And by the way, Tillman in round 3, huh? That would be great. Yeah. And by the way, I don't think Turner and Brents get there, but I'm just throwing names at you. Mm-hmm. Would you be okay with Keely Ringo with your second round pick? I would not be.
I don't like him, but his athletic tools can fit Wink. So if Wink likes him, I like him.
Fair enough.
You know what I'm saying?
I totally get it. Would you be okay with Tyreek Stevenson out of Miami with your second round pick?
Honestly, I haven't looked at him, but
okay.
I hear a lot of people saying that he's a press man guy, and so that fits Wink. You know,
yep.
But I haven't looked at him at all.
And then the last guy I'll throw at you is Darius Rush, the second cornerback at South Carolina that had a big time Senior Bowl, and he's a good press man player.
He's another one that I have to look at too. He seems to fit. Wink's system, and so
that would be the group. That would be the group of corners you're looking at in round 2 if you want to pick a corner in round 2.
And out of the guys you said, Rush is the only one that I feel like kind of comfortable that he might actually be there.
No, you're right. Yeah, because look, there could be a big run on cornerbacks at the start of the second round. There could be, no question.
This is supposed to be a deep draft for that.
Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate the call, man. We got to run. All right, we got to do this one quick.
Yep.
Charlie says he's going to shake your world somehow. I'm going to see how that's possible. I think you're just going to shake the nonsense out of him, but we'll see how that goes. Charlie, what's going on?
Hey, guys. Hey, Howard.
Hey.
Are you sitting down? Are you comfortable?
Very comfortable, Charlie.
Okay. All right. Let me say this. I know why you have a problem with centers. You know why? Because there's never been one who has ever come out of Alabama who was a good to great center, Pro Bowler in the NFL.
Oh, boy.
You know who the last one who came out of there was?
Who?
Leroy Jordan. And
Jordan?
he played tackle, for Dallas.
Hey,
he was
Charlie.
the center at Alabama.
So let me guess, everybody, as always, we love Charlie. Charlie has a lot of great things to say, and he always wants to be knowledgeable. So Charlie never heard of Dwight Stevens, probably one of the best centers in the NFL history, also a Bama guy.
He played for Alabama?
Yes, Charlie.
Okay, well, then he's the only one. He's the only one.
Charlie, stop.
Because I looked through the list. Looked through the list.
Charlie.
He was the only one, Howard.
Charlie.
That's why you don't like centers,
the kid
Howard.
Should be in the Hall of. He should be in the Hall of Fame, Charlie. Stop talking.
He should be.
Stop
but he
talking,
isn't,
Charlie.
is he?
I want to take Howard just saying, yes, Charlie, and make it a drop that we can play
Howard,
whatever we
Charlie,
want.
listen to me.
Howard,
Charlie,
did he
listen
play
to me.
center at Alabama or did he play guard?
Yes, he played center at Alabama, Charlie.
Did he play guard at Alabama?
He played for Bear Bryant, Charlie. He was the center.
Yeah, did he play guard?
Oh, my God.
Charlie, he was the center.
He played guard. He played guard, too, at Alabama.
Okay, Charlie.
Just to let you know, Howard.
Okay.
So I dropped the mic on you, Howard, because you had one guy whoever came out of Alabama as a good center.
Only Charlie would start off and go the only guy.
Thank you, Charlie.
Appreciate
the call. Only Charlie gets I dropped the mic at Howard, even though I was wrong. But I was only wrong by one guy, so he's still.
There are a couple guys that played center at Alabama that get to the NFL and wind up playing. There are a couple guys from Alabama that come out. There were centers that wind up playing guard. One of them is playing at the Eagles.
Yeah,
right
Landon
now.
Dickerson. Yeah, I was going to bring him up.
Was
Yeah,
another great player. But the guy they have at center now is a perennial Pro Bowler, but will probably slide Landon over to center the following year after that guy retires and steps down. So Charlie has no idea what he's talking about again, but love him. But Charlie, don't drop the mic too far unless you can catch it. But anyway, let's keep going. Keep going.
Oh, my gosh.
I love what he calls. He's like –
he was so cocky about it, too. He was so cocky. And then you're like, no.
He must be kicking his stuffed animal right now around the room. Can't believe I didn't know about the White Stevenson.
Oh, my God.
That's hilarious. That's
Howard,
okay.
all right. We're going to get to our Tennessee interview in a second. Howard, good stuff, my friend.
See you later, brother.
All right, let's get to our interview to close out the show, and then we'll see you tomorrow on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Here's my interview with our reporter that covers Tennessee, Jayson Swain, former Tennessee Volunteer wide receiver captain, and he had a cup of coffee at the NFL as well. Here's my interview with him. We recorded earlier in the day. All right, and now we're joined by Jayson Swain. You can hear him down in Knoxville, Tennessee on the radio, and he's a former Tennessee Volunteers captain, a wide receiver as well, had a cup of coffee with the Bears in the National Football League. Jayson, you got John Schmeelk here in East Rutherford, New Jersey. How's it going down there in Tennessee?
I'm great. How are y'all?
We're doing great, man, and you know, we've been kind of going through all these prospects, and you know, Tennessee, a lot of good players coming out, and I'm going to start with a general question about the offense first here. How do you think you look at, you know, Hooker, Hyatt, Tillman in that very collegiate offense and trying to figure out how their skill sets will transfer to the National Football League?
I think receivers probably harder to determine if the skill set of Tennessee's wide receivers translates to the next level than quarterback. When you look at quarterback, I mean, it's reads. Cover one is cover one. Cover two, cover three. Throwing with anticipation, leadership, accuracy, arm strength. I mean, those things, you know, I think you can look at the NFL and determine, okay, this quarterback could be a fit for us. Wide receiver in Tennessee's system, I think, is a little bit different. If you watch the film and watch Tennessee play this past season, there are times when on a passing play, one side of the formation, the receivers don't even
Yep.
they don't move.
They don't move. I know.
yeah. And I mean, as a former receiver myself, I mean, that sounds great. I wish I was playing in this offense, but you know, you look at that. You look at sometimes Tennessee receivers are not really asked to block a lot, and so you're trying to judge physicality. You're trying to judge, okay, at the pro level, can guys handle the bumping and grinding and the physical nature that takes place, play in and play out? That's the question that you have to sit down with the prospect and be able to ask those questions and see what they say. The route tree is something that you know, you can question and see if that translates to the next level. But I think the best way to do it is to say, all right, can this guy change direction? Does he have a wide catch radius? Does he have a work ethic? Does he love football? Does he have all the physical attributes? I think if you check those boxes, you should be able to say, all right, well, let's draft this Tennessee wide receiver. But I definitely think it's harder to judge the receivers than the quarterback.
All right, I want to dig in on Hyatt then, because I think in the pros with his speed, teams are going to want him to play outside. At Tennessee, he played mostly inside, and he was never pressed because they would stack him a lot, right, on that one side of the formation, so guys couldn't get hands on him. Mm-hmm. How do you think Hyatt might adjust with his skill set to that outside role in the NFL where he is going to see some more press coverage?
I think Hyatt is improving with his feet and being able to get off press coverage. Obviously, he was in the slot. He was stacked. That helped him be able to get off the line of scrimmage. I mean, he had some questions about his weight. That's no longer a question anymore. I mean, he weighed in 180 pounds, 185 pounds in that range. I think he has not reached the ceiling at all. I mean, he's still growing. He's still developing. I mean, you look at this past year at Tennessee, he had one big explosive year. He's still learning how to play the position. He's super hungry. He saw how his hard work paid off. So he wants more. But when you look at strengths, you look at weaknesses. Obviously, his speed is a strength. Weakness is probably lateral quickness, and that's something that he'll need to continue to work on at the next level. And he'll need it being able to get off press coverage. But he'll get stronger. I think improving his feet and his packages to be able to get off the line of scrimmage is going to be extremely important for whoever team picks him.
All right, I want to touch on Cedric Tillman, and it was kind of his injury that opened the door for Hyatt, right, to become that number one and have those monster games. Now, I watched Tillman's tape from 2022, Jason, and I see kind of a big possession-y receiver, but then somebody told me, and I'm going to do it, I haven't done it yet, go back, watch his 2021 tape, especially against Alabama and Georgia, and he looks like a more explosive player. Your thoughts on Tillman? Do you think that analysis is accurate because he kind of played on that high ankle sprain all year, and what would an NFL team be getting with him?
Yeah, I actually think he's more ready to play right now.
Yeah, me too.
Than Hyatt, because physically, I think he can handle himself. I was thinking about, okay, who are some giant receivers that we can compare Tillman to? I think about Akeem Nicks out of North Carolina a couple of years ago, where he's a big body. He's fast enough. He'll run past you if you're not playing with technique. But the catch radius and the toughness is there with Tillman. I mean, you throw a ball anywhere close to him, he will come down with it. Doesn't matter if it's high, it doesn't matter if it's low. And he, I think, is a better route runner than Hyatt. Hyatt is more explosive, no doubt about it. But Tillman, I think, will be a guy that you can kind of plug and play, and he'll make the tough catches for you.
How banged up was he playing this year? How hurt was he?
Well, he had the high ankle sprain, and he got the tightrope procedure done mid-season, and they just wanted to be careful with it and be very cautious. And Tennessee was winning and throwing up big numbers without him anyway, so it just wasn't a rush to get him back. But he's healthy. I mean, he was healthy towards the end of the year, but I don't think they wanted to really risk him losing out on his dream of playing at the next level. So he's good to go. He's one of my favorite prospects on this team. His story is amazing. I mean, he only had one option coming out of high school. That was to be kind of a walk-on there at USC. And because of Helton's, the brother connection, when Helton was at USC, the younger brother, Tyson, was the OC at Tennessee and called and said, hey, we got this player. We can't take him. You should look at him. And Tillman commits to Tennessee without even taking a visit because it was his only major Division I offer. So he's a great story, and he's hungry. He knows that he has a chip on his shoulder, and he's going to work to achieve his goals and his dreams. And so you're going to get someone that's going to come in and outwork everybody else in the receiver room.
Darnell Wright, do you see him as a first-time-round offensive tackle, and do you see him as solely a right tackle, or do you think he can move over and play on the left side?
I think he can play both. He's young. When you go look at how old he is, he's probably younger than everybody else in this draft at his position. So he's still growing, still developing. He's extremely athletic, powerful, but I think he can play both positions. And he has a lot of untapped potential. He was unreal this year going up against Will Anderson, going up against Ojulari at LSU. No one can get around him. I think he is a must-get if you are a team looking to protect your quarterback for years to come.
And Byron Young's interesting. You talk about a developing prospect, raw, but his athletic numbers are off the chart, but he's 25 years old. So how do you view him in terms of his age? Where I know his story is great, coming from the Little Military Institute on the transfer. He was working at a dollar store, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Really good story. Yeah. Your thoughts on him, as a whole package with his age and all his testing and everything else heading into the NFL?
He's a physical freak. I mean, he's a little short. I mean, that will probably be the knock on him. The age doesn't scare me. I mean, he doesn't have a long, extensive injury history. I mean, he was out of football for a little bit, working Burger King at the Dollar General. Just overcame so much adversity. Was really dependable here at Tennessee and available here at Tennessee. You didn't see him getting hurt a lot. So if you want someone that's going to give you all that he has and has that speed off the edge, I mean, I think he's a really, really good pick as well. But I do understand the height concern. But, man, he has a very, very strong motor, and you can't teach 4.4 speed.
Absolutely not. And real quick, Jason, given the way you answered my first question, I imagine it sounds like you feel pretty good about Hendon Hooker becoming a pretty darn good NFL quarterback.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Hendon is the first or second best quarterback in this draft. I mean, he's just a leader. I mean, and you can have all the skills all you want to, but if no one is willing to follow you and run the battle with you, you're not going to be as effective as a quarterback as someone that possesses those type of traits. And I've watched Hendon grow, handle adversity, grow. This program is indebted to Hendon for years to come. I mean, I think he accelerated the rebuild by 2 or 3 years. I mean, he was just that great for Tennessee. His accuracy improved, his deep ball, one of the best deep balls in college football. But all these guys can throw. All of them can throw. Most of them can run. But what separates them, I think, is the it factor. I think it's the leadership factor. I think Hendon possesses that.
All right, give me one nugget about Huntsville, Alabama I can get on Howard Cross about. What do you got for me?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Him being from Huntsville before me, I got a chance to learn from my elders of what not to do, and that was to not go to the University of Alabama. So he did that. I decided to come to the University of Tennessee, but it's a beautiful part of the country. It really is, man. It really is. And if you go there, you'll probably see a cross billboard the moment you cross city lines.
That's what I like to hear. Jayson, we appreciate the time, man. I know you have a radio show to get to. Good stuff. Good luck the rest of the year, and we'll talk to you next season as more of these Tennessee players start hitting the NFL draft with your program blowing up a little bit down there, man. Thanks a lot.
Hey, thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate you.
No, appreciate it, man. Jayson Swain, former Tennessee Volunteer. You can hear him down there on the radio in Knoxville, Tennessee. We thank him for joining us right here on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Thank you to Howard Cross. And needless to say, you guys know this is taped at this point because I'm going to bug Howard about Huntsville when we start the show, like 40 minutes before this was happening on the air. So make sure you check it out. It's good times. Thank you to Howard. Thank you to Jayson. Really good conversation today, I'm sure. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Lance Meadow and I are back. We're going to have prospects from Miami. Who else do I have coming on tomorrow? It is Miami, Tulane, which, by the way, is a couple of prospects this year, and then Texas. So a lot of running backs actually coming up on tomorrow's show then, or on tomorrow's show for Big Blue Kickoff Live. For Howard Cross, I'm John Schmeelk and Jayson Swain. We'll see you next time on Big Blue Kickoff Live.